since I released the album, a couple of months ago, I think now, and good to see you. And what happened? Yeah, we did a 6-week tour just before the album came out. It was really fun, exciting to be back on the road, and then it's been cool, like just kind of sitting back and watching the album kind of get into people's ears and see how people react to the songs. And yeah, I'm just excited to get back on tour and come back to Australia soon.
Yeah, and you've been a regular with the AFL Grand Finals in the past, and you must be sort of itching to touch down. And in fact, who do you go for, by the way?
I go for the Bombers, actually. So I have kind of been, obviously haven't got any interest like actual team in the finals, but I'm just getting the stream where you pay or whatever a subscription to stream the games from overseas, and so I kind of don't look at the AFL app and I just watch the game. So I've been watching the finals. It's kind of a nice, comforting thing to like have the game on and watch everyone. And the games are so good, so I'm kind of I'm stoked.
Now, there's an old saying, the poet needs the pain. So I got to say, the last album, which is out now, by the way, it's very warm. It's very uplifting. It's full of romance, and obviously you're in a great zone, living where you are, and you got a great partner, and you've written some great songs. So it just shows you don't always need that.
No, I don't. I feel like even when everything's good, that I probably inject enough stress and anxiety and pain just from overthinking and whatever the daily things that pop up and whatever. So I don't need any extra sources of that. So yeah, I've been in a good place the last couple of years, and it's been good. It's been good for my songwriting, I think. I feel like with songwriting as well, like, I mean, it can happen anytime. Even maybe you're not in the perfect place in your life or in relationships or whatever, but if you find maybe a good songwriting partner, or you find a little bit of space, like that the creative juices are there ready to go. So I really believe that. So I even with like the pandemic and stuff and the kind of lack of inspiration and like, I don't know, stimulation, like the songs were still there. So that was cool. It didn't take much to kind of get me inspired. So I'm glad kind of after all that has happened that the songs came. Yeah.
The funny thing is, you'd think during COVID it would have been a tough time for creators and musicians, but everyone I've asked this question, they've all said it was actually easy getting people involved. Like when you got songwriters on the other side of the world, they're all doing nothing. They're all sitting at home. So did you find it was actually an easier time to get started?
It was actually, it was in some ways. Like there were some people that I wanted to work with, and I guess when everything was up and rolling and people were traveling and maybe people's schedules were like, more booked out. And so there were some people that I kind of had penciled in as like, I'd love to work with this person. And, it might have happened anyway, had things not closed down, but it was cool. Like things closed down, and then like 2 weeks later, I was like, I want to try some of these Zoom sessions, and then had a couple of really good sessions. I got to work with Joel Little, who is this amazing songwriter producer from New Zealand, who he's worked with a bunch of big artists, and I've just kind of been a fan at a distance of his work. And then he said he was keen to work with me, and so I sat in my lounge room on the couch and wrote a couple of songs with him. And one of the first song we wrote was Missing Piece, which was a nice first song to write together. So it's cool, you kind of have a dream of someone you want to work with, and then because you're excited, you bring some weird nervous energy to that session, and something in that can lead to like a cool song. Like when that person is sitting across from you and you're a bit nervous and they say, all right, what do you think? And you're like, I don't know. And then I don't know, there's something in that, a little bit of magic there that brings your best ideas out.
It's incredible, like I keep thinking back to a few years ago when we first came across you, and I had friends in the States who work at K-Rock, and you obviously popped in there a few times, and they all said the same thing. They're like, wow, there's this young Aussie and he's so tall and he's such a nice guy. And you must be pinching yourself when you think about it, because it wasn't that long ago you weren't known by anyone, and you made this incredible debut, and it all just went from there.
Yeah, it was a really cool whirlwind. It was actually funny. Like, wasn't funny. I just got a message from my manager last night, and he sent a message saying it's 8 years since your first album came out, and I was like, wow, 8 years. Like, and even before that, there was like a lead up of like 2 or 3 years of like kind of solid hard work and a lot of touring and promotion. And I was like, wow. Like, I was thinking in my head, I wasn't trying to get too nostalgic, but I was like, I would do that 8 years again. Like, I would do the grind and all the visits, all the flights to radio stations, and it was pretty hectic. And like, I think about some of those days we opened up for Taylor Swift in 2015 around America, and it would be like, wake up in the morning, like jump in the shower, like be like, visit 3 radio stations around like the whatever American city you're in, come back, sound check, like sleep on a couch for like a bit, get some energy, and then play the show. And that was kind of the routine, but it was also really fun. It was like you really, like, I don't know, head down, just like grinding, and a lot of good memories. So it's funny. I think I did meet a lot of people from radio stations, like all around America, like from the smallest radio station, like you walk into someone's office. I walked into like a tiny little radio station, and there's like one guy in a cubicle, and he didn't even know I was coming, and then I'm sitting in his like cubicle singing him songs and stuff like that, like just kind of making an impression. So it was cool. I enjoyed the American promo trail.
Yeah, there is something about it, and same with over here. I mean, you do the boardrooms and you perform in front of 5 people, and it must be just bizarre. But now, 8 years later, you're 3 arias down. You got, your 3rd album out, and more to come. So what's next? Like, how do you keep building from there?
I think, I don't know. Like, I think there's always like, there's always a little fire in me to keep, making music and making things I'm proud of, and some things are out of your hands. Like, you just, you might write a song, and it might be like Riptide, which is kind of a lightning in the bottle moment, and it shoots you into like the stratosphere. And then every song is still special, and kind of surprises me if it does connect with people. So I guess I just, I keep my head down and keep writing songs. But I don't know what is exactly next, but I think some kind of balance where I'm probably not doing that crazy grind that I did in 2015 and the years before that, but I'd still like to, play, be able to play shows around the world and kind of maintain those fans, and maybe keep bringing them along on the journey of like the albums I make. And
I can see it now. You gotta go through the asshole phase, because so many artists over the years, they're so nice at the beginning, and then you go, oh, what's happened to him? But I couldn't imagine that.
I'm gonna be. No, well, who knows? I mean, like, I can imagine. Yeah, you do that thing. You say yes to everything, and then there's probably a phase where you're like, okay, I just want to tour at like these 3 places, and I have these like kind of expectations or whatever. But we'll see. I'd like to be able to like bring my partner on tours and stuff maybe in the future, because I still love I love touring, and I love kind of like the bus life, and like six weeks on a bus with your mates, when the vibe is right and you have like the kind of right balance of people, and you get all the personalities. You kind of like, okay, everyone's really vibing. We've got a great crew, great band. Like, it's such a fun thing. It's like being on a little traveling camp or something, and it has a bit of a holiday feel when you get it right. So I want to do that again for sure.
Well, many bands love to go back to that stage of their career. Like the Foo Fighters famously wrote a documentary about the van life, and they yearn for it again. And then you sort of look at other bands like U2, who leave a concert in separate limos, and they're on conference calls afterwards saying, how did we go? Was that pretty good? So, 2 very different situations. And I love that you still want to, do the van life, which is cool. But actually on that, I want to ask you, what is in your rider? I mean, and how has it changed since the very beginning when it might have been a 6-pack of beer?
Yeah, we started very basic. It was like hummus and probably like some beers. We didn't. I don't know if we had either and maybe a bottle of like some kind of spirit. Maybe it was like whiskey or something. Maybe Jameson. I think it was Jameson. 6 beers and there was like hummus and like some sad kind of cold vegetables that would come with like some like ranch dressing that was like in America. And I remember like the guys would open that thing, open this like plastic seal, and it would be like bits of cauliflower and broccoli and carrot and celery, and they'd be like, "You got to eat the veggies." I'm like, I don't believe. I know veggies are good, you know, but I'm also like, I don't think those veggies are good. So I was a bit. That was the start, and then now we have. There was a kombucha phase. I think there's a hard seltzer phase. There's a lot of phases, a lot of health phases. Like, you know, there's like ginger and honey, and like the guys kind of get a bit health conscious on tour. I think if you have one or two people that are health conscious, it kind of seeps through the whole group, and everyone's kind of like, oh, do I have my like protein bar and like all this stuff? So the rider isn't it's not that lavish, but it's getting much more specific, you know. It's like we have to have this particular honey. So
Yeah.
maybe we are going steadily towards the arsehole phase. I think
Well,
that's
hang
possible.
Yeah, I'm looking at your tour dates. So you're starting off end of October, Hobart, and then through to Melbourne in the end of November. You know, go a bit crazy with your rider, I think, for this time around, because hey, look, it's all on their bill. You're not paying for
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
You actually are.
Yeah, I know. It's like, guys, what are you sure? Do we need that particular brand? But yeah, no, it's fun. It is fun. I think everyone gets pretty stoked when they like. It's probably one of those things where, yeah, I don't really have an involvement in it. I know that the guy on the saxophone, Will, and Chris, the keyboard player, kind of take control and are very careful with it. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, fair, because that's always the big trap. It's like when you're a young player and you start ordering, heaps and heaps of spirits, and then they find out at the end of the tour, oh, what was all that money for? Oh, okay, we are paying for it. Um, so you are coming back to Australia. I'm assuming this is your Christmas homecoming with the family as well. So you'll wrap up in Melbourne just end of November, and
yeah.
and you can claim it on tax as well. You can fly back to Barcelona afterwards. You're a smart boy.
I hope it can work out like that. I mean, yeah, I trust the team. But yeah, I'm super excited to play. We're going to have the original, a couple of guys who were in the band at the start who just didn't want to come on the road like forever. Decided to get jobs in Melbourne, and they had partners and kind of built their lives in Melbourne the last few years. So they haven't been on the tour journey recently, but they're playing this tour, and it's going to be nice. Like just having the original crew back together, and playing in Australia is so good. Like everything's familiar. Like you might be across the other side of the country, but there's something slightly more relaxed about it. So you kind of play on the week. Mostly you play on the weekends, and it's like, yeah, I love playing tours in Australia. So. Yeah, just generally excited.
Is your girl coming over to see the family as well for Christmas?
She is, yeah. So
Right.
that's the first time. That'll be pretty exciting, and we're just organising all the visas and stuff at the moment. So that's been one process, but yeah. So at the end of the tour, it's like that kind of solid 4 or 5 weeks of just hanging out and holiday time. So hopefully everything goes to plan.
So you were 21 when Riptide came out, is that right, or around there?
Around there, it might have been 22 or 3, but
Yeah.
I wrote the song when I was a bit younger, and then it took a little time for it to find its way into the world.
So I was going to ask you if you had a backup plan, but I guess at the time you weren't even thinking that far ahead. You were probably just thinking that that whatever happens, and this is going to be so exciting. And
Yeah.
who needs a backup plan?
Yeah, I had a very vague plan, and I still kind of have vague plans, but the vague plan at that time was I have this song that I feel excited about, and I've been playing it, when I'm playing a little pop-up gig at a cafe. It's the song that people are like, oh, I love that song about the dentists or whatever, and I was excited to just record it, and so I saved up enough money to record it, and the plan was like, all right, I'll roll the dice record this properly and then see what happens, put it on SoundCloud. That was the only clear step to me. I didn't have any expectations really. I was just excited about it, and then that was it. I put it on SoundCloud, and then another step appeared, and then another step appeared, and so it was kind of like I didn't have to have the whole thing mapped out. Would have been, and some artists have a bit more idea about the industry, so they're like, "What's my next single going to be?" I never had that thought, and then they were like, "We want more songs." Like, "We want more songs?" Like, I gave you 4 songs. Like, aren't I good forever? But it's just the way everyone rolls a bit different. But that was my approach.
Yeah, and who called you first, by the way? Like, you obviously put it out there just to see what happens, but who rang you and put a bit of interest in?
So I put it on SoundCloud. It would have been like around October. I reckon it was in maybe early 2012, like maybe like April or something. And in that week, like it got like 100 likes on Facebook, and I was like, wow, like this is crazy, because I never would have ever seen that amount of likes on anything I've shared. And I think maybe a week later, or maybe even not even that long after that, I got a call from a good mate of mine at school, Aaron. His older brother Jadden, he's in the music industry, and like I always knew Jadden at a distance because he was 4 years older than me at high school. He played guitar. He was like a cool dude that kind of like played guitar and managed bands and punk bands. Like he was in the punk hardcore scene, and but he called me up kind of out of the blue, and he was like, "Hey man, like I've been listening to your song Riptide, and I just heard it on Facebook, and I think it's awesome, and like, I'm just interested, like, how do you feel about music? Is it something you actually want to pursue, or is this like a random thing? And did you write the song?" And he asked me a few questions, and he's like, "Do you have more songs?" And I was like, actually, I do have like this kind of ambition to, do music, but I don't have much experience, and I've got some voice memos on my phone." And he's like, "Send me some of your other songs you've written." So I sent him voice memos, and he kind of guided me for the next months, like, introducing me to people and starting to help me kind of, build a dream a bit more and make it seem like a possibility. So that was cool. That was an exciting time, It's like being like, oh, like, I'm going to like do music. And my friend's like, whoa, like, just like, wasn't expecting that. So, yeah.
And then a short time later, you're in Michael Godinski's office, probably. Actually, what was the biggest bit of advice he ever gave you? Because this guy was just larger than life, and touched everyone in the industry, And what did he say to you? What was the biggest thing that you still keep now?
Yeah, I think it wasn't always like it's hard to pull one thing out of the air right now, but I think in general I just felt kind of at ease and comfortable and very supported by him. So I think he came to one of my first kind of, I played for a few people in the industry, but the biggest one, the one I was most nervous for, was knowing that Michael Godinski, who at that point was just like a mythical figure for me. Yeah. I drove to a little restaurant in Collingwood, and I'd play like a little set in the corner of the restaurant, and there was like 10 people there, one of whom was Michael Godinski sitting at a table. And he just sat there, like tapping away, like listening to the songs. He told some people near him to be quiet, who were just eating dinner. Like they're like, "Why am I being quiet at this tapas restaurant?" But he was like, I don't know. I just felt like I was playing to someone who was completely on my side, and took the pressure off a lot. So it was nice to just have that presence. And I think we chatted after I played, and honestly I didn't catch everything he said because he spoke in kind of like a low growl, husky growl, but the general impression was just very positive, and like he introduced me to a few, so many people in the music industry, and kind of vouched for me, and it really set the song up in such a huge way that it kind of paved the way for a lot of the great things that happened after that. So yeah. He
was always so passionate, and it always rubbed off. Like no matter what he was passionate about, you always felt passionate with him. And I definitely sort of felt that when we had meetings with him over you. And I'm so excited that 8 years later, we're here. Zoom call I wouldn't have predicted, but 8 years ago. But
Yeah.
3 arias and 3 albums. And look, the album is out now, and you're about to hit the road with Hobart end of October. So Vance Joy, thanks for the chat, and we'll see you soon.
Becko, what a pleasure. Lovely to talk and reminisce.